Hi everyone. Roscoe, say hi. Say hi. Look, isn't he cute? I just thought since I was recording this at home, you can see my adorable dog who, as you can tell, is not very happy to be in my arms. I picked him up as he was chewing on a bone. Okay, as you can see, I am not in class with you, right? Obviously, your sub doesn't look like me, so you can see that. I am at a conference as we speak, learning a little bit more about our AVID program. And what I wanted to do, since I'm not here, is make sure that we stay on track because we don't want to lose any days because I wasn't there. So what I want to talk about quickly is, as you can see, on this page we have our agenda, which you've already looked at today. But I wanted to go over a few things with you. So you've just finished some work, a little bit of work time and sharing your graphic novel assignment. I'm sure that all of you did really, really amazing on your assignments. What I had seen from last class looked really great, so I'm sure you did a great job on that. What we're going to be talking about next are coming of age stories, as you can see right here. That is going to be our next unit. If you take a look, you can see here's a picture. Some of you probably already guessed of Smile, the novel. We are going to read that. I know some of you have read that, but we're going to read it and look through the lens of the coming of age story. How is Smile coming of age story? Okay, and then you are going to watch the first episode of The Wonder Years, a really wonderful TV series. As a little bit older, some of you may not have heard it before. I'm going to guess your parents probably have heard of it and seen it, something that they may enjoy watching, so please bring that up to them, okay? And so before we can get started, we need to go over what makes a story a coming of age story. So we're going to walk through the notes on that together so that way we don't lose any time. So if I'm just going to take a minute and switch over to my other presentation here. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to pause the screencast and read through this. Okay, you are either going to go to Google Classroom and grab the Coming of Age Terms worksheet, okay, or you're going to walk up to the front table, and grab a paper copy. Now, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking it may be easier, since you're listening to this screencast, to have a paper copy so that you can look at the terms and write them down at the same time instead of switching back and forth. I think that may take up too much time, so please go ahead and grab a paper copy from the front table right now. Okay, now that you've unpaused and we're looking at the paper, on the very top of your worksheet, you're going to take notes and fill in those blanks, okay, on the following slide that I'm going to walk you through on this screencast as if I was actually there, which is awesome, okay? And then the bottom half, the second half of the worksheet, is going to be used while you're viewing the first episode of The Wonder Years. Now, there is one question on the back side, so make sure you take a look at that. You will need to come to class, okay, on Friday with that finished so we can go over the answers. Okay? Awesome sauce. So let's take a look at your coming of age terms. All right, so the first one, what does it mean to be a coming of age story? There are a lot of different things that need to be in or written in a story or seen in a show to make it a coming of age story. The first thing, main character grows from the beginning to the end. Okay, there needs to be some kind of change, whether it's from the beginning of one episode to the end of another. If you're looking at a book, it may take the entirety of that book or the entirety of a movie, but the character needs to grow, maybe change their thinking of what they're doing or something between the beginning and the end, okay? Now, as I'm talking, feel free to pause this to make sure that you get these words written down here, okay? If I'm talking too fast, go ahead and pause it. That is the beauty of having a screencast for this, okay? The next one says, it usually takes place during a pivotal or important moment in a character's life. Okay, there has to be some type of major change. Now, typically coming of age stories are going to be kind of right around the age that you guys are at, if you think about it. What you guys go through in junior high, right, between 7th and 9th grade, right, you guys are growing up, okay, right, you guys are going to hit puberty. A lot of things are going to be changing, and you're going to have to try and figure out where you belong, what's your identity, that kind of thing. So we're kind of looking at some really important things in a character's life here, right? So some kind of major change. Maybe it's the way they think about something or the way they see somebody, okay, but there's some kind of change that needs to be had. Okay, the third one, character faces many trials and conflicts, okay? They have to go through some kind of problem maybe, or they're facing something that they don't know how to handle, okay, a situation. And many of these are internal, okay? What does internal mean? If you're handling something internally, okay, what does that mean you're doing? Okay, so you are handling this with yourself, probably in your mind. Okay, you're probably trying to figure out, what am I going to do about this? Okay, trying to figure it out on your own. You're typically not going to be talking to somebody else. And as you watch the Wonder Years, you're really going to hear him narrating in his head a lot of what he's thinking, and that's kind of what it's going to be like. Okay. Okay, character overcomes these problems, and as a result, he or she grows up. Okay, right, there's that coming of age part. They're the growing up, right? If you take a look up here, right, the main character grows. Okay, he or she is going to grow up in some way. Going to figure out a way to get through these problems on their own, and they're going to grow up a little bit, or maybe act a little bit more mature, figure out what they did wrong and try not to do that again. Okay? Character tries to challenge authority. That tends to be a big part of a coming of age novel. What are they doing to challenge a rule or to disobey something or rebel? Okay, that is a big piece of that, to challenge authority. Think about maybe a time where you're like, I really don't want to do that, right? Maybe it's some kind of chore or a rule at home, or you come home late when you're supposed to be home earlier, or you didn't call your parent when you're supposed to get somewhere. Okay, it's some kind of challenging authority. Okay, and that tends to be a big part of that as well. This character will also test boundaries and start to think for themselves. This is a really big piece here, start to think for themselves. Okay, what do they want to do? What's going to make it easier for them? What kind of decisions do they want to make? Okay, they're going to start thinking for themselves instead of having their teacher or their parent or someone telling them what to do. They really want to figure it out on their own. The character learns a lesson, right? A big part of growing up is learning some kind of lesson from something that has happened or something that has been done, okay? Is that learning that lesson? And then lastly, the character loses his or her innocence. In other words, he or she seems to suddenly grow out of his or her childhood, okay? At some point, we all believe, right, about rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, okay, right? Well, at some point we do grow up and learn that things are a little bit different. Things aren't as sugar-coated, that the world can be harsh. And so you're kind of losing the aspect of being a child and thinking everything is hunky-dory, okay? And that's a big part of a coming-of-age novel as well. All right, so make sure at this point, if you don't have all of these terms down, that you do get them written down on your paper. If you're afraid that you're going to lose it, make sure to take a picture of it with your iPad. That can really help for those of you that like to have things done on your iPad instead. But these are the kind of things, okay, that you're going to be looking at and looking for as we watch the Wonder Years, as we read through Smile. So it's super important, okay, that you look at these and you understand what we're looking for, okay? So at this point, here, if I can get my presentation to work. Okay, the Wonder Years. This is what you're going to watch. You're going to watch the first episode. Now, this takes place in the 1960s. Okay, it was originally made in 1988. So they created it, about 27 years ago, right? That's when I was born in 1988. But it takes place back in the 60s. So things are a little bit different. How they grew up, where they grew up. Some of the issues, maybe a little bit how things look in school, they're a little bit different than what you're used to. But he is entering 7th grade. Okay, all of you can relate to what it's like to come into a new school and what that looks like, and that's kind of where this takes place, okay? So you're gonna watch that and kind of see, how he starts to feel about a girl that he grew up with, okay, and going to school and dealing with those kind of things, and that's what you're going to be watching. Okay, and again, as we watch this episode, keep an eye out for what makes this a coming-of-age story. Look over those 4 or 5 questions on your worksheet and make sure you are looking for those as the story progresses, okay? And then one more thing before I let you go to watch this episode, I want to remind you about what you have for homework. If you have not turned in your graphic novel today, please make sure to complete it and get it turned in, okay? This is important. It's your first summative assessment. If you don't have this turned in and I mark it missing, that's really going to kill your grade right now, and you don't want to start behind yet. We just are getting the semester going, and it's really important that you stay up to date on everything, okay? And the second piece is you're going to have a summative assessment. Yes, that's right, a summative assessment on your graphic novel terms on Wednesday next week. Because of President's Day, right, we will have class on Wednesday again next week, so there will be that. It is going to be on paper. It will be a little bit similar to what you have done in your formative. There's going to be a little bit more drawing. Okay, so please make sure to study if you didn't do well on that. And we went over the answers, remember, last class. And if you did do well, just make sure to brush up on that before next week. I am hoping that we will play Kahoot on Friday. All right. So that's all I really have for you today. Please make sure that you are really, really good for the sub. Okay, I don't want to have to call home because you're struggling. So please be super respectful and enjoy the first episode of the Wonder Years. I really, really like it, and I'm sure you will too. If you have any questions before I see you again on Friday, please stop me in the hall tomorrow or email me. Okay, bye.